Hi guys, welcome to Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. Just kicked the camera, bloody typical. Right, let's get on to this. Today we're going to cover knife sharpening. Now, I'm not an expert, but what I'm hopefully going to go to today is give you some tips and some ideas that will take you forward. There are plenty of other people out there on YouTube that are experts and professionals, and they can probably give you more in-depth videos, but what I'm going to give you is what's worked for me over many years. Most of these techniques passed down from my father, or watching other people do it and asking the question, hey, how's that work? Where'd you go with that? Okay, a little bit of it comes from my blacksmithing days and learning from a lovely blacksmith guy that had been in the profession for the best part of 40 years. So again, these are my ideas. What I will say to you guys is be careful at all times, please. When you're sharpening a knife, you are honing an edge, or you're putting an edge on something, and you're going to be doing it in proximity to these. You don't need these, you want these, they come in handy. One of these gets cut and damaged, ruins your day. Anyhow, what we were going to do, I'm also going to give you a little tip on finding angles, and hopefully that will be new to you guys, and yeah, that'll assist you with sharpening your knives. What I will also say is, guys, please watch the video to the end. I'll be giving you an update at the end on the bush camp and on the 500 subscriber giveaway. So anyhow, let's get into this video. Let's try and make it a bit of fun. Let's try and make it a bit interesting and see if I can pass on some things. And for those of you that have different techniques, or use different methods, hit me up, let me know, show me. I'm always interested to learn. And for those of you that this is aimed at, really, it's just to try and give you a bit of help and advice, but don't take it as the Bible. Find your own technique. Anyhow, we'll get on with it. This is Mickey. The first thing you're going to want to be able to find when you're sharpening a knife is the angle. Okay, there. If you're lucky, you have a knife that is designed in such a way that it's going to give you the best tip and advantage to that. If you take the British Army survival knife, and hopefully it's not going to blur out, but as you'll see, there's the grind and the bevel, and there's the cutting edge, and that cutting edge is quite a well-defined angle. Okay, so I can find that angle and see that angle, so I can set my sharpening stone to that angle along the edge, and then I'll use the file. I'm not going to sharpen with the file. So there's my grind and there's my edge. Okay, so I can find that edge, and that edge is probably about 20, it's about 22 degrees. Okay, and that's, for me personally, anywhere between 17 and 22 degrees is perfect. Now, if you take a kitchen knife, and this is what I was talking about the other day, that has a very shallow grind. Okay, very shallow, because it's designed to slide through, so you want no friction, you don't want any bulging in the blade. And because it's a fine edge, right, you can get it to take a because it's a shallow grind, you can get it to take a very fine edge. Now that fine edge is so that when you're cutting things like tomatoes, right, it's probably one of the most annoying vegetables you can cut, but you're cutting a tomato, it's a bit soft. As you slide that knife through, there's no friction created by the side of the knife. Okay, there's no drag. It's just going to slice through and cut your tomato. But when you come to your bushcraft knife, okay, you want a thicker blade. You want strength on that blade. If I tried battening this blade through wood, it will just deform. It will be prone to chipping along the edge because there's no thickness to it. There's no strength. Doesn't make it a bad knife. Makes it a brilliant knife for what it's meant for in the kitchen. Right? But as a survival knife, it's not a lot of use to you. So you're going to go with a thicker blade. So instead of having that grind come all the way up to this edge here, it comes up quarter of the way, allowing the blade to thicken out quite steeply, and therefore have a lot of strength. So I can batten this through a piece of wood, I can use it to pry it, I can hack into things, and because the edge is a little bit steeper than you will find on the kitchen knife, it might not cut through a piece of paper as easy, or a tomato as easy, but what it will do is it will allow me to hack into something. If I chip the blade, or if I hit something hard, the blade is more likely to survive the damage, whereas with the kitchen knife it will just twist, chip and damage. Right, so let's talk about angles. So you probably did this at school. Let's find ourselves 22 degrees. Okay, so take a sheet of A4. You're going to fold it from this corner out and this edge flat. So there we go. Now that creates your 45 degree angle. Okay, 45 degrees. Yeah, as you can see, it's too steep there. It's not really what you want for an edge. But if you then take it again, and always when you're trying to do these things on camera, it gets a little bit fiddly and think about it too much. You take it again and you fold it again. He says, trying to get it as accurate as he can along that long edge. So you're literally folding it in half. You get this. Now, you take the square, you fold the square in half. Originally you're starting with a 90 degree angle. Half of 90 degrees is 45 degrees. You half it again and that gives you 22.5 degrees. Okay, 22.5 degrees is pretty much what I'm looking at for an edge, for putting my edge on my knife. Between that and 17 degrees I like personally. It gives me an option between how sharp the blade is, how well it slices, and also the strength of that edge. Okay, and this is what you've got to work out. For what you're using your knife for, do you want a super fine edge, i.e. your kitchen knife, so you could half that again. He says this is going to be fiddly. Half that again and come down, so you're coming down to 11.75 degrees. Okay, and at 11 degrees you've got a super fine edge. But does that edge have strength? Okay, it's fine in a kitchen. It'll be brilliant in a kitchen, in fact. Okay, you can even, there are knives that go even finer than that. But for general work and that, this tip's quite fine. It will deform, it will damage, and it will wear. So I come back to my good old 22 degrees, and that's how I find 22 degrees. Okay, I can then place that on my stone, angle my knife to it, have a look, and I'll show you a trick later on as well when we come to oil stones, and gauge the angle, my grind. Okay, so that will give you 22 degrees, that will give you 11 degrees if you want something really, really fine. And again, play with that, find the grind that works for you. You don't have to stick to what I've done, try adjusting it. See what tunes to what you do. If you're somewhere that's predominantly softwoods, or you're working softwoods, or you're using the knife for plants, or you're mushroom picking, a finer edge is going to be your best bet. If you're going to be using the knife for battening, for splitting, for whittling, for working hardwoods, yeah, you're going to want a slightly steeper grind. Anyhow, it's enough waffling. Let's get into this. Let's get it sorted out. Let's get you, show you some interesting things. Don't want to see my ugly mug all the time. So we're going to go, and I'm going to try and get you some close-ups on the knife, and hopefully that will all come out well. Right, got to stop kicking the cameras down. Okie doke. So this is my device. It's a Ruxin, Ruixin Pro. God knows how you pronounce that. But it's a knife sharpening system. It's comes with water stones, and it comes with, you're looking at a 600 grit. You're looking at 120 grit. You're looking at a 1600 or 1500 grit, and you're looking at a 420 grit or 320. Pretty much everything you need for sharpening a knife and reprofiling a knife, and they're replaceable stones. Now this system makes sharpening a knife quite simple. It makes it quite an easy process. Unfortunately, you have to bear with me today because it's normally done outside in the workshop where I've got a better surface, but here I've had to sort of jury rig it so that I can demonstrate it to you guys, and so it's got a bit of a spring to it. Okie doke. So right, let's look at how this works. So this system's quite simple. It's a reversible knife sharpening system. So I can rotate the blade that way. Okay, makes life a lot easier than having to take the knife all the way out. These grip the blade in place, and this is your angle adjustment here. Okay, you then have this tool here, which has an arm which slides through a bearing here and allows you these sorts of movements. Okay, so first things first, if you wanted to find your 22 degrees, that is pretty much the angle of your, that's going to be pretty much the angle of your blade. Okay, and then you're going to bring this down and adjust this so it sits on a piece of paper there, and that is going to give you your 22 degrees. Okay, if you wanted to go a little bit finer, you can go a little bit finer. Because I'm going to be working with my British Army survival knife today, we'll set that into the grips. You want to sit the blade about halfway along, and you want to make sure this edge here, or this edge here, is parallel to your blade, and I'll show you why in a minute. Now, once you've set this, remember this edge is here, this edge is facing towards you. Any movement towards that is putting your body and yourself in jeopardy. So if you fell on the knife now, you're cut. If you slide your fingers towards that blade, you're cut. Hence my warning about just being careful. Okie doke. So that's my knife set in position. Now, because I can quite clearly see my bevel here, right, that's what I want to maintain, I want to work to. I've got a couple of little chips in the blade there. The rest of it's pretty good. However, it has been sharpened on an oil stone and a whetstone and quite a coarse one. So I'm going to tidy this up a little bit. Now, I'm going to start with my coarser stone. Which is gripped by that, held in place by the spring. And the first thing to do is to find my angle. So, with my good glasses on, I slide this down until the stone meets the edge flat on the edge I want to sharpen. Okie doke. And the next thing I want is a little bit of water on the stone. You don't want to run your stones dry. My stones are usually soaked. I like to keep them in a damp bag. Work a bit of water into the stone. Right, your first pass will leave you a mark. You will see from that mark where you are actually working to. So I can see that's a bit too shallow, and I can come back. So I've got a very shallow edge there. And because I'm tidying the whole brine, too steep or too shallow, right, this is awkward because I'm struggling a little bit because of the clamp I've got in place to hold that is in the way. I'm working around the chips I've got on the tip here. Right, that's enough work that side. So now I'm going to come to the other side and repeat the process. Now you see it's starting to get quite a thick paste there. It's starting to the stone's starting to dry out. Wet the stone. So we wet the stone. And we go back to working the blade. Now this isn't a sharpening process. This is actually a grinding process. I'm taking chips out the blade, cleaning the blade of the knife up. So I'm not too worried about angles and about, well, I am worried about angles, but I'm not worried about finessing the edge just yet. I'm on about repairing the blade, taking enough metal out to remove the chips. So, we finished with that stone with this system, and we've got our rough profile in place. We're going to come to our next stone. There we go, slightly finer. And depending on the kit you get, depends on how fine your stones are. I'm going to keep the angle the same. I'm going to give that a bit of a polish. A bit of a polish. Which is allowing me to see where the chips still are. I've got two very, very small chips there, but I'm not too worried about those. They're you'll start to see a cleaner edge, you'll start to see more detail within your edge. And you'll create a burr. If I run my finger underneath that knife, I can feel there's a lip just down there, and it's a burr on the opposite side where the metal I'm sanding off is rolling over the edge. I can turn it over now, twist it back the other way. And one thing to keep an eye open for, because I've blunted that, I'm having to work the metal, and I'm working the metal that way. I'm trying to re-profile and sharpen it up and try and take metal off. So I'm using a little bit of force going up. And you can tell from the shine that I'm achieving on the blade, I'm starting to get there. Change the angle, direction, a little bit more water on my stone. And repeat the process this side up to start getting my profile. Right, start working back towards me, which is very difficult to do on here with something that is bending. So I'm going to finish this knife off in the shed where I've got some ability out there to get it done. But what I'll show you now is the final process, which is to take your almost the final process. Take my 1500 grit stone, wet it. Right, now this draws towards me in an equal pressure all way. We work our way along the blade. I'll have to support it this end. Same process side. Oh, don't go back on myself. It's very fiddly to do that in here on something that's springy like that. But I hope you are seeing the process. I'm going to pack up trying to do that with that in here because it really is not helping. And it doesn't matter what angle, well, what knife you use. You can use this process or this system on any knife. When I make knives, this is my finishing kit, so I'll do a basic grind and then I will come to this kit to do my finishing. Says he. Right, so that's the Ruxin Pro sharpening system. So, oil stone. It's a sharpening with an oil stone. Okay, that oil stone has two sides. Has a coarse side. And it has a fine side. So, start with your coarse side. Take your knife. Now, to find your angle, I know from my own preference that halfway up my thumb, right, with my thumb on the back there, is pretty much where I want this to be. Now, the tip of this finger sits on the point there, tip of that finger sits there, and I pull the knife towards me, and as you can see, I've already started to form my edge. This is already a very sharp knife, and again we do exactly the same thing. That way, and again it's forming up. There's no damage on this one, so all I'm doing is reprofiling. So Nice. Happy with that. So that's an oil stone. Exactly the same when I'm doing my penknife. Find the angle that I want to use. Two, three. Two, one, two, three. Nice. Turn it over. Polish it. Three. One, two, three. Happy with that. That's my oil stone. I'll place my oil stone to one side now. And now we'll go through the finishing process on all these knives, which so the finishing process for these knives. Okay, for these knives, the finishing process is going to be strop them with leather. And as we are aware, that takes the burr off, leaves me with a super fine edge. And again, now there is a process you can take further. Well, I did say before that you can't sharpen a knife with a leather strop. No, you can't. What you can do is you can sharpen a knife, or you can sharpen a tool, especially very, very fine working tools, Stanley knives, surgical knives and so on. And what you use is a polishing compound and the leather. So you lay your polishing compound on your leather, and this is a very fine polishing compound, and when I draw the knife through it, I'm in actual fact polishing that edge finer than I ever could with a stone. And I'm only going to do it on this knife because this knife I use for a lot of my leather working. And that will give you a super fine edge. So yes, you can sharpen, and razors are sharpened quite often with a polishing compound or cutting compound. The coarse side of the leather you use to take the burrs off. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an instruction into that side of sharpening. And again, when we come back to a knife like this and we're sharpening it outside, my personal preferred method is to look at the bevel, take my stone, 2, 3, run it away from the cutting edge. And that will bring your edge back up, but you're working away from the cutting edge. Try and pull the metal off the blade rather than try and push metal up the blade. And again, when you come back to the strop, let's move that down slightly, come back to the strop, and you can use just an old leather belt for this, what the old timers did. They literally would take their belt off and use that for doing that. Right guys, so that's been knife sharpening. Hopefully it wasn't too long, too drawn out, and hopefully this old fart managed to explain it to you with some common sense and give you an idea of what you're doing. And like I say, keep saying to you, practice, 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 find the techniques that works for you. I'm not an expert. Go on, have a look around YouTube, look at what other people do, see if somebody's got a technique that you prefer to use. Find what works for you and perfect it. Anyhow, so as I said at the beginning, some good news. Yeah, it's all rolling ahead for the bush camp. Yeah, that looks like that's going to be April. It looks like the weather's going to be hopefully good. We're looking at 20 people. Okay, so we're looking at getting 20 people up the woods. Hopefully local guys, or you know, if you're prepared to travel, come in. I'm going to be able to do a pickup for a small handful of people from either Farnham or Farnborough railway stations. Okay, and I will be able to drop you off on the Sunday. Bear in mind, please, I've got a Land Rover, so I'm looking at getting 3 people in the Land Rover plus your gear. You will have to bring your own gear with you, and we're looking at a bush camp. I don't mind if you want to put up tents, I don't mind if you want to put up tarps, okay, but it's only a small 6-acre woodland. Okay, we can't harvest timber, obviously it's not my woodland, I'm just allowed to use it, and we got to keep the fires fairly sensible. Again, looking at the environment and that up there, we do have a fire pit, and I'm hoping that it doesn't put people off not being able to have major fires or anything like that. But by all means, come in, bring your cook systems, and we'll get a good fire going on the fire pit. Use that for cooking, do what you need to. What can I say? Yeah, and it's a social, it's get us all together. There's lots of guys that have been hitting me up saying I'm local. Yeah, let's get us together. So what it will be a meet-up pretty much on the Saturday from about 10 o'clock in the morning. Set ourselves up, get ourselves organised, be an overnighter, and we will be pulling out on the Sunday afternoon for about 4 or 5 o'clock. Okay, I understand there may be guys that have to go earlier because obviously they've got further to travel or they've got commitments, but we will sort that and we'll make sure you're sorted there. There is a small area of parking again, hence we're keeping it limited to 20, and if this works out, I am looking at possibly a bigger site for the next one, but we will see how we go. Other than that, 500 subscriber giveaway. We got the cook set. So this is a cook set for 2, 800ml pot, 1000ml pot, bowls that double up as lids, 2 cups, 2 sets of knives, forks and spoons, and also the gas cooker. Okay, obviously get your own gas bottle. So that's all within that. What a great little kit. Okay, I like that. That's a superb kit. And obviously alongside that, for prize, I don't know which one to call prize 1, prize 2, but on top of that, we've got the Heikman meth stove, which you've all seen me using. It is a used one. It is the one I've taken out. It is in A1 condition, but you've all seen it being used. You know how much I like it. It's a great bit of kit. So there'll be a meth stove for somebody and a cook set for somebody. Mrs. Mick, i.e. Kaz the Gorgeous, she's going to draw the names out and we will go from that. So as soon as we get to 500 subscribers, that will be done. We're at 410 at the moment. Okay, So it seems to be going well. I'm happy with it. Please like, please subscribe, please share, tell all your friends. Please comment. Yeah, I love the comments. Yeah, I go through them every single day. First thing I do when I get up in the morning, I run in here with my cup of coffee, I fire up the computer, I dive on the interweb, I go to my channel. We got comments! We got comments! I holler to the missus, I've got comments! And I then sit there and try and answer them, yeah? Which is one finger typing. Because, yeah, I'm not the most literate people. So, guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're having fun. I hope all is good with you. I hope the weather's gorgeous wherever you is. Yeah, love those you do. Forgive those you don't. And as always, love, peace, and light to you all. Have a great time wherever you are. Look forward to doing the next video for you. Okay? This is Mick, Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. Mick out.